Hey everyone, welcome to Long and Short. I'm Tom Hartman, Marketing Manager at TradersPost, joined by Mike Christensen, co-founder and CSO. In this series, we'll be walking Peter Hartman, another member of the marketing team and my twin brother, through the process of setting up an automated trading strategy from scratch. This isn't a polished course. It's a genuine behind-the-scenes journey as we explore exactly what it takes to get someone with minimal trading experience up and running confidently. Let's dive in. Peter, I hope you're rested. You've enjoyed the last few episodes, just calmly gliding your way through. But now we're gonna dive into TradersPost. You're gonna really see the meat and bones of some of the settings that are here, because very soon, you're gonna be putting a large amount of money down in order to trade yourself.
large amount of theoretical money, right?
Nope, his
What's
real
happening
money.
here? You keep
Then he'll
freaking me
care.
out here with this, Tom.
I want to do a real trade. I want real money. I want to feel my real heartbeat.
You put your daughter's college fund on there, and we'll help
No, I can't do it. I can't watch it. I can't participate in this.
You can either help or watch him flame out. So please. So last time we were taking a look at all of the TradingView. What I want to do is just to quickly remind you here that the whole story here, the whole path, the whole thing that TradersPost is built around, and that all automated strategies are built around, is funneling a signal from your signal source, in this case TradingView, but it could be anywhere, through a third-party bridge, TradersPost, and then at your broker for execution. So that process is TradingView, in this case, sends a signal to your webhook, which is the URL that connects, that's waiting to receive the signal from wherever you're sending it from. That webhook then sends the message to the strategy that has all these different rules for how should I be processing the signal. And then it passes to the subscription, which says, hey, connect to this broker and execute in this way. And then the broker then executes the trade. So today, what we'll do is that we'll actually set up a strategy subscription at TradersPost and just walk through the different settings that are there. Does that make sense to you?
Works for me.
All right. So if you'll remember, Peter, we did a blueprint episode where we made a DCA bot, right? Because you were saying one of these episodes that we did, that the strategy that you really want to go on is the idea of like buying slowly over time, right? You don't want to have to think about it.
Yes, I'm still on that, but something you guys talked about in After Hours made me feel like I'm the dumb one. Your Carson Corner thing where he talks about just buying and holding is like a pathetic strategy. So now I feel emasculated and I don't know what to do.
Well, the idea here is that he was saying that if you have any edge, right? If you think that you have an edge in paying attention to liquidity, if you have an edge of paying attention to, you want to take advantage of the AI bubble or the AI rise or whatever it is, that to just express your trade in just buying a stock and writing it up a couple of percentage, he goes, well, that doesn't really make any sense, really. Because if you're just writing up a 3% move, a 5% move, a 10% move, he goes, if that same move in options can yield you 10 times as much if you structure it properly.
Right.
So he's saying, well, why would you ever, you're exposing yourself to the market. Why would you ever take the risk to make the least amount of money you can? You should make the most amount of money that you can. You have no edge. Right?
You're my edge.
You're just a regular, just an average, just an everyday person. So you have no edge. So DCAing for you into some sort of crypto asset or AI stocks or whatever might be a good idea as a starter. No offense, Peter, just as a starter. So that's one of the reasons we made a DCA bot, which is just a simple bot that we set up on TradersPost. So if you go to our channel, you'll see that they're under the PineScript DCA bot. So we did that a couple of days ago, and in there you'll be able to get the link for the actual bot. And so if you wanted to, you could just go ahead, add that to your favorites, and then it'll show up inside of your list of indicators here. And you can just add it to your chart, which is what we have here. So just a quick idea of how this DCA bot is working. This is just made as a quick and dirty example, but what it's doing is that it's allowing you to send a signal to buy every period of time. So here I could set it up to, let's say I switch this off. I could set this up to buy every week. So on my chart, if I do that, let's give it a second. it'll buy every week. Let's get off of Bitcoin because all my drawings are there. Let's go to Tesla on the daily. So here we're having a trade that every 7 days is buying. So it buys and buys and buys and buys and buys. So let's say you wanted to set this up to be like, okay, yeah, I want to send a signal every 7 days to buy Tesla, whatever it's at right now. You would head over to your TradersPost account, and we'll create a new strategy. And we'll call this Peter DC bot. Since we're dealing with Tesla right now, which is a stock, we'll leave this on stocks, but we'll allow any ticker so that we could have any number of tickers that are sent in. In fact, I think after this, we'll even show you how you could just set up a quick watch list and add the strategy to all the items in that watch list if you wanted to buy a batch of tickers at a time. Then we're going to save this. Then I'm going to connect it right now just to a paper broker. Currently, it is disabled. So let's go ahead and go through the options on this page. So this is the subscription details, right? So automatically when we created the strategy, it's now set up in TradersPost in such a way that it can actually receive a signal. When you create that strategy, the webhook is created automatically with it. In fact, if we go back to the strategies tab and I click on your strategy, Peter DCA strategy, and edit it, I'll see, actually I can just go to view. This is the strategy we set up. And over here at the top right, you have the webhook. So the webhook is already set up that you can copy. And that way, when we use this within TradingView, the signal can be sent along, right? But just because you have the strategy created, you'll notice we didn't connect it to any broker yet. That happens at the step that we were at before, where we're actually subscribing the broker to the strategy, which is why it's called a subscription. So let's go back and edit that subscription. And what we're going to want to do here is, first of all, we're going to turn on auto submit because we want these trades to automatically be executed at the broker. In this case, a paper broker.
If I don't do auto submit, what happens?
Good question. It actually will come in as a trade. It will still, the alerts will still come through, but you'll have the option to approve or reject those trades as they come in manually. So that actually makes it possible for you to kind of debug things without putting any real money at risk.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it can especially be useful for people who are using a live account. So maybe on your paper account, you're not so worried about it, but on the live one, you just want to make sure everything's working correctly. So you can have the live account connected to live money, but then you have this buffer where you have to approve the trades. Here for sites Bullish, so by default, the strategy subscription is saying, hey, we're going to enter into Bullish trades. We'll go ahead and switch that to Bullish and Bearish, but for the DCA, we'll only be taking long trades anyway for now.
Can you explain this part here? If I put a trade and I set it to bullish, what won't it do?
It won't allow you to take short positions. So if you send in a sell order and you don't have a current position open, then it will just reject that sell order. But in a scenario where you've chosen bullish and bearish and you send a sell order, action equals sell, then it will open a short position. So by choosing this option here, it controls the rules for how TradersPost responds to your requests.
I see.
Right? Because when you're on Bullish, you're going to want to make sure that basically you never want the size of the position to be less than 0. Right? So, but now what you're doing, we're never going to go ahead and allow you to go short now the market. All right, so let's just leave it for Bullish right now. Side swapping. So side swapping only really matters when you're inside of the both position here. So what this does is that side swapping says we're gonna if I'm in a long position, I'm gonna go ahead and swap to a short position, and so it allows me in one order to close out the long position and go into the short position. But we're not going to be doing that with your DCA strategy right now because it's a long only strategy. sides isolated, this is one of these other options that have to do if you wanted to have both long and short positions. And so this one, it checks to see if your strategy is single-sided. If you don't want the strategy to exit a position on the opposite side. So for example, if your strategy subscription is bullish only, and you check this, then it would never exit a bearish position. So one order won't for long won't affect the short order. Mike, would you be able to give me maybe an example of like when someone would use what kind of strategy where someone would want to use a sides isolated? Because I understand that like I've seen that when people want to run two separate strategies. So they have one long only strategy that's run on one set of rules, and then another strategy that's for shorts. Then I've seen them use that. But is there any other circumstances where someone would want to use sides isolated?
You just explained the scenario this is relevant to. So
Okay.
I just want my my sell orders for longs to not be exited, and to separate those orders from each other, so I can kind of run both at the same time. Now, typically, it gets a little complicated if you, especially to kind of like keep track of those trades. So, we often recommend that you just create two separate strategies in order to support both approaches. But you do have this option of using sides isolated here.
Some of these other settings that you're going to see here, Peter, like allow any tickers and so on. These will be, you'll recognize them as the same sort of settings that we had within the strategy, because the strategy is essentially setting up what you would consider the default settings, and the subscription can override those settings. So on the same DCA strategy, let's say you had 3 broker accounts, you can have one subscription each for each broker and have different sets of rules for each one. Right, so maybe on one broker you want to just go ahead and buy 2 shares at a time, and on another one you might say, no, I wanted to buy 10% of the equity in my account every single time that the trade is happening. You have like different sort of risk parameters for each one. Maybe one you say that I wanted to stop out when the price drops 2%, and another one there is no stop loss associated with it. You just want to ride the position all the way through. So you're gonna have different settings based on the subscription settings here.
How common is it to have multiple brokers? Like, why would I have more than one broker?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it can be really common. Some people prefer to trade multiple accounts at the same time because they might have capital in a Roth IRA, but then also a little bit of cash in a regular cash account. And they've split it up. They split some of their capital across multiple accounts, but they want to trade the same signals across all of those accounts. Sometimes it might be that you want to trade the stocks signal in one broker account, but then trade the options in a different account and from the same signal, and have the stock signal translated to an options contract on TradersPost. So there's a lot of different scenarios that people engage in. It just depends on your preference for how you've allocated capital to multiple accounts and the reasons for why you might want to trade them simultaneously.
Sure.
I had someone, they were like, they had a crypto trading strategy, and they wanted the same signal was being sent, and that signal was attached to all the different tickers that they were interested in: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, and all that sort of thing. But when it comes to this subscription, they wanted one subscription tied to a broker account that one only ever dealt with Bitcoin, and then all the other ones were dealt for the altcoins were in a different crypto account. And so that way they could have the one signal, the one strategy, but then the subscription then splits it, and they know that any order in the allow any ticker, they just made sure that the right ticker was here for Bitcoin, and then the other strategy had the other tickers that they wanted to trade. So just that split automatically with the one signal. All right, so connected broker, as you can imagine, we already in the process had chosen TradersPost, the paper broker here, but you could always change this afterwards if you wanted to. Notifications, that's if you want to receive an email for when the action is taking place on this subscription. Oftentimes you'll see people say notify for failures only, because they only want to be notified if something went wrong. There was some sort of error message.
Right.
Asset class, we have to always make sure that this asset class matches the asset class for the strategy. So our strategy has the asset class of stocks set up, and so the subscription also has to have the same one. If we were to change this for some reason, then we would get an error saying that the asset class doesn't match. Trading window. So here you might decide that you want to go ahead and trade with the DCA bot, but you only want to do it on certain days of the week or between certain times. So let's say you only wanted it to work at market hours between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. So then the trade would only execute in this window, and anything that happened otherwise it wouldn't work. Maybe you might decide here I did 9:30 to 4, but that's the normal market hours. But you might decide you only want to go ahead and buy at the close of the day. So you might say, okay, I only want my trade signals to come in, and I'm just going to do it at from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. and that's when my signals will come in. And that's when I wanted to trade. And then you could also add multiple different trading windows if you want different times.
Be sure to choose your time zone on that one. Otherwise, it defaults to UTC time, which is not very common for people to be in that time zone, which is close to London. So UTC time is the Universal Coordinated Time, which is really more relevant to like server environments that all kind of coordinate to the same time. But you'd want to choose your time zone to make sure that you've specified the correct window of time that it should trade in. It can be your time zone because you're used to trading in a certain time. Like, for example, here in Denver, the market opens up for me at 7:30 in the morning and closes at 2. And I could put Denver time here and say 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Or I can put it to Eastern time, which is the time that the exchange actually operates, and put it from 9:30 until 4.
I chose America Toronto over here, Peter, because we are in the good old 51st state. All right. So for position size, here's where things can also get interesting. All right. So you have your signal, right? So we've been talking about the signals that's being sent over from TradingView to TradersPost. That signal has more information, or can have more information, than just the ticker that needs to be bought, or the ticker that needs to be traded, and the action that you want to do. In this case, buying. You might decide that you want to qualify the trade. You might decide that the position size should be different, right? So over here, the way that the strategy is set up, you'll see a +1 because the strategy is just sending, by default, sending a request for one share of buy and sell. But maybe for my subscription, I don't want to buy one. Maybe I want to have a certain amount for the position. So maybe I want to buy $1,000 worth every single time that this trade is happening. And if I do that, well, then TradersPost will, and I have the use signal quantity disabled, it'll use this as the default value, and then TradersPost will divide the value of the shares by the amount of my position, and then buy that number of shares.
And it'll ignore what comes from TradersPost, the signal that comes from TradersPost, if there's a quantity in there?
Correct. So that's for use signal quantity here. The quantity parameter, it will not listen to.
What happens if the division creates fractions?
It'll only buy a whole number.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, it will round it down. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unless, I guess, depending on fractional quantity, but let's not deal with fractional quantity.
If you end up with a fractional quantity, even in the signal, it'll still round it down. You have to actually specifically state a fractional amount in order for the fractional quantity to work.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right here. So these are the positions you're not going to deal with right now. Allow at the position. So this is super important for a DCA bot, right? Because the idea here is that if you don't have this option checked off, and the first trade comes in, it opens up the position for Tesla. When the next the trade comes in, that first trade is still open, right? Because you just bought in. You didn't sell the position. You're still in it.
Right.
And so if you don't have this option, allow add to position checked off, it'll reject that new trade. All subsequent trades will be rejected. So for DCA bot, you have to, or for any strategy where you want to add to your position, you have to have the add to position on, and that way it'll go ahead and buy it every single time you do it, as long as you have the funds available. You're going to be dealing with entry over here. So for your entry, you can decide if you wanted that to be a limit order, a stop limit, or a market order. Hey, quiz, Peter. Do you remember the difference between all four of these orders? Your life depends on it, so get it right.
Market is just it's just whatever the market is open. Limit is a set price. Stop market is
wait. So for limit, if the stock is trading at $200, and I set a limit price for $300 to buy, what will happen?
It'll be rejected.
No, it'll buy it, because limit means buy it at that price or better.
Or better. Sorry. Yes, better.
Well, better would need to means that it has to be below 200 then.
No, if he sends a limit at 300.
Right, but that's above the current market price.
Right. You said the price is at 200.
The price is at 200. So
Oh, yes. That's what I mean. You're right. Better than the current price.
So that higher limit order should be rejected by the broker. You'd have to set a limit order below the current market price.
All right. Stop market. I can't remember what the stops are.
So stop limit is when the order is going to be executed. It's going to be executed at that price or better. But the stop says when the price crosses this level, now buy at whatever the market says. So stop market says at this price, if it crossed 150, I have that as my price. Now buy it at whatever price, which means you might get filled at a worse price, but you definitely will get filled if there's liquidity in the market. You'll definitely get filled. Whereas the stop limit, that's like both of these things combined. It says only execute the trade when I've crossed this price, and make sure that it's at this price or better. So we're going to set this to market, because we're DCA, we're going to be dollar cost averaging into the position. So we don't really necessarily care about the price at the moment. That's being handled by the bot. If you have these signal orders checked off, but you don't send that property over, right? You're not overriding it in any way with the signal. Well, then it'll still use the default one that you have set up here for this subscription. Entry time and force. So this and this depends on the broker if they support these options, but essentially you're letting it know that this order that I'm setting right now, how long is this order good for? Is it good for the day? That means if the order, let's say you send a limit order in and it didn't get filled, if at the end of the day it still isn't filled, the order will be canceled. Good till canceled means that the order will be on the books until it gets filled or you cancel it yourself. And then you have different other options for market on open, market on close, immediate or cancel, which is like either fill right now. If you can't fill right now, cancel the order, or fill or kill. Immediate or cancel will even allow you to have a partial position open. So it'll fill as much as it can, but if it can't get the whole order filled, you'll still have whatever you were able to fill. Whereas fill or kill means I want this whole trade to be filled. I want all 100 shares I want to buy. I got to get them all right now, or forget it. But not all brokers support all these different options. Generally speaking, you're going to be dealing with good for day or good until canceled. And for us, for our DCA bot, we're going to want good until canceled.
How do I determine what the broker allows?
You'd have to look up, basically do a search or contact the support at that broker to see, hey, do you support this type of entry time and force?
Yeah, if they don't have documentation that's very clear, you're always able to reach out to customer support with the broker to answer those types of questions. And of course, your final option is just to mess around and find out.
That's right.
Do you get an error message if you submit an order that the broker can't
Correct.
fill?
Yes.
Yeah. we're getting an error message for that at in the trade plan that we'll see
But
later
you
on.
only get that during a live account, right? Not paper broker, because when Trader's supposed to be the broker.
That is correct. And there are certain order types that the TradersPost paper account doesn't support as well. If you connect the paper broker account with another broker, though, they should have the same rules for different order types in the paper environment as they do live. So we often recommend connecting a paper account with your broker to simulate a more realistic environment.
Gotcha. The same sort of ideas are here for the entry price. What you can for the entry price type, you have a different granularity that you can have for the price. For your DCA bot, no need to worry about a bunch of these details. But essentially, are you familiar with the bid ask spread, Peter? Where you have there's the price you're seeing on the chart, but then you also have. I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to pause here 1 second. All right, sorry about that. He is an Aquarius rising sign and will not take no for an answer. Okay. All right. So back to over here for the entry market price type. If you remember, there's the price that you're seeing on the chart, but then there's also this order book. There's a bunch of people with orders that are bidding. There's a bid and ask spread. And wherever the bid and ask, wherever there's a match between a buyer and seller, well, that's where the latest price shows up on the chart. But depending on your strategy, and your DCA bot is not such a big deal for that, but some strategies take advantage of this. They want to use a price that is more managed. They don't want to necessarily use the last price that's on the chart. They might want to use, let's say, the midpoint between the bid and ask. They might want to use the ask price for when they're buying and the bid price when they're selling in order to make sure that they're, let's say, immediately buying, right? So let's say if you're buying the asset and you say, yeah, I want to use the asker's price, that means you're going to get filled right away because you're just going to go to the next price that the person's willing to buy it at, or the highest price that the person's willing to sell it for. Or you can say always use ask or always use bid, that sort of thing. So there's some granularity you can use here. And then exit, that's the same sort of idea that we were looking at before. You can decide what kind of order type you want for the exit, time and force, and the bid ask spread. And then finally for take profit and stop loss. So take profit and stop loss, if for a DCA strategy, you might decide. Right now, the way it's set up is that once the order goes in to buy, it'll just keep buying this asset. But you might decide that, hey, if I get to 10x my position, just go ahead and sell it. Like, I'll take the 10x trade. So then you can go ahead in here and then add 1,000 take profit, turn this off, and then if ever that position gets to 10x its position, it'll go ahead and sell it off. Alternatively, you might decide for the stop loss, I'm willing to DCA into these positions, but if the positions ever drop by too large of an amount, let me just go ahead and sell. Right. So you might say, if I'm gonna use stop loss, a market order, and if I drop 30%, just get me out of the position. I don't want to be in it anymore. But since we are going to be DCAing you into Bitcoin, we can't cap your profits, and you're in it until you're gone. So we're not going to be doing take profits and stop loss for you. You're going to ride it to the end.
It's usually a little bit better of an approach. I mean, in general, DCA is a buying strategy that allows you to buy no matter where the price is on some frequent interval. So it might mean that there is a pretty big drawdown, but if prices do come back quite a bit, you're buying at lower and lower prices, which helps improve your average cost basis.
All right, so we have the example subscription set up on the account over here. So we're going to grab the webhook because we're going to copy this because we're going to need it in a second. And we're going to go head over to our strategy bot, and we're going to create an alert. Right, Peter? So we set up the alert by clicking the alert at the top of the screen, like we've seen before. We're going to choose the strategy that we want. And here we're going to replace this with strategy dot order dot alert message, because inside of our strategy, we have a field here that's already set up to send a signal to buy for this ticker with this action. So if you want more information on that, there'll be a link to the blueprint episode of this DCA bot where we make it. But in there, we also discuss this idea that you can have a placeholder placed here, as opposed to having to put the message directly. But if you did want to put the message directly, you could. You can just go ahead and grab this command, which exists within our documentation. So you can go to our documentation here. Actually, you could even find it on the Webhook page. So if we go to the webhook that we created, and then we go take a look at it, you'll see on the right side here an example of the code that you can use. So I can go ahead and copy this and then paste that into my alert message field. I don't need the rest of this over here. And then when I do that, let's go down to the 10 second. Let's go to 10 second. And we're going to buy every 10 seconds. So we're just going to set up here the DCA bot to just going to fire on the 10-second chart. So we're just going to fire every 10 seconds or every minute or so, just so you can see what it looks like. Let's just reduce the time frame for this so it goes a little bit faster. So do that on every bar. We're going to go ahead and create the alert. We're going to choose the strategy. Let's do it this way. And now that the alert is created, it'll go, oh, I forgot to add the webhook. I'm just doing that to simulate to you, Peter, how you'll make the same mistake.
Right.
You'll forget the webhook. So let's go back to the subscription. View, copy, webhook. Let's go ahead and paste that in. Save. And now, once we get the next alert, which should happen in 10 seconds or so. All right, it fires. And if we go take a look at this webhook, we'll be able to see under logs. Oh, ticker doesn't exist because I'm in stocks, not futures. All right, great example, Peter, where we switched to futures just for the example, but we're still on stocks. So let me just go ahead and edit that under strategy. Oh, I love the new interface, the new changes. Switch this to futures.
So there's no setting for like allow all asset class.
Correct. It's all specific to an asset class.
We have to submit that feature request to TradersPost.
Denied. It's so interesting how all the different asset classes have completely different behaviors.
Right.
So it totally makes sense. All right. So now we should get a webhook firing. Let's see if one comes through. Logs. There we go. So now we have a trade coming in. You can imagine that this is Tesla for yours. All right. Why did the trade fail? The trade, it failed because the asset class of the symbol, it's not supported in my strategy. Okay, that was the problem we had before. Here, it got completed. So here, I'm seeing for the webhook the details of the actual signal. So this is what was actually sent in, and some details of the conditions under which it was sent in. Here, we click on View Trade to actually see the trade. It bought 0 contracts because I didn't actually give a price to it. So let's go ahead and give it a price. I'm going to go back to my logs, edit here, and then I'm going to add signal price. with a placeholder of close because I want to use the closing value. Let's hit save. Wait 10 seconds. We get the signal come through. You can see here the price is showing up there in the signal price. And let's go back to see if this position opened up. There it is. Our contract for NQH opened up. And we're in the position now. So if this was connected to your live broker, then your DCA would run the way that you would expect, and orders will just keep on buying every week. You don't have to have TradingView open. You don't have to do anything with the alert other than check on it every once in a while just to make sure it's running. Occasionally, you'll have very occasionally, depending on the strategy that you have, the alert might have some sort of error inside of it, but that's part of the automated trading experience. You want to be monitoring your tools and your platform. Automated trading is not a set it and forget it sort of idea. It's just that you don't have to go in and make the decision every single day, which is great. And so if you set up this DCA bot for this ticker, it'll go ahead and purchase it. One extra thing that's really cool for in TradingView now, if we go to our watch list, let's say we create a watch list because we wanted to run this DCA bot on multiple tickers, I can go ahead and create a new list, DCA bot, and I can add a bunch of tickers here. So I can add Tesla, Palantir, Facebook, and so on. NVIDIA. And now that I have a watch list over here, I can go ahead and create an alert for that particular watch list and apply it to everything. So I'm going to go ahead here, copy my signal again.
Everything in that watch list needs to be the same asset class?
Correct. So here I didn't put futures in, I just put regular stocks, but obviously so this won't work right now, but I'm just showing you what it would look like. You could put all the assets, all the tickers in there for the same asset class.
And if you put a mixed asset class, what will happen? Like it'll work for the class that your strategy is set up for?
Correct. You'll see the same sort of error that we saw over here where it said ticker does not exist.
But for the others where it does exist, it will work, or it'll cancel the reject.
It'll work. Order. No, it'll work for the ones that do exist.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So I could create that here, and then what's great about that is that I can just go ahead and, as that's created, I could go ahead and add new ones to it whenever I want to. So let's say I do want to start DCA into Google. Great, I added it to the watch list, and that'll start. I want to stop with Tesla. I could click on delete that, and now alerts won't be sent for that anymore. So it's a great feature that TradingView just added. All right, so that's just a quick idea of the DCA, a strategy like this where you're sending the signals. What we're going to be doing, and we got to see a little bit of the subscription settings. And so what we're going to do on our final show, where you're going to be doing, the final episode of the stream, you're going to be going ahead and you're going to do a DCA on crypto instead of a Kraken account. And we're going to set that all up on your account with real live money. And you'll be part of the group. You'll be part of the team. You'll be cool because you'll be exposed to the markets as opposed to what you are right now, which is embarrassing.
I'm exposed. So all the settings that are in TradersPost there, can they all be expressed in JSON, like in the alert, in the signal?
Question. Not all of them. So if you, inside of our documentation, that's where you'll actually get to see the settings that are there. So let me just show you that real quick. So inside of our documentation under webhooks, this is where you get to see all the different properties that are available that you can actually use in order to modify the order. So some of the things, yes, you can modify. For example, the price that you want to use, the order type, market orders, limit orders, stop market orders, that sort of thing. Stop losses and take profit. You can handle here. Just making sure that you have use signal value so that it'll take that into consideration. But a bunch of the other settings that are not here, you have to modify directly within the subscription.
Gotcha. Honestly, I gotta say, I know I'm biased, but I don't understand why you would trade without a tool like TradersPost or something like that. It just seems way more complicated otherwise.
That's why we pay you the big bucks, Peter. You know exactly what to say there.
I just mean, is there something I'm missing? Like, why trade just without an automated tool?
Yeah, people in general tend to if you are going to trade on a discretionary basis, what many people will do is trade one symbol at a time. So like I trade a lot of intraday manually still, even though I have all kinds of automated strategies running. But I only trade, M and Q. I only trade futures. I only trade at a certain point in the day. And when my trading's done, it's done. Much of the reason for that is that I'm looking at price action. Like, what is the market doing today? And in many cases, it's so hard to model for those changes each day because the market can do wildly different things every single day. But when we develop trading strategies, we're looking for a consistent pattern to occur over and over and over again with some kind of win rate and profit factor associated with it. And so your results might be different based on how you manage risk and how you trade manually versus how you trade on an automated basis. But once you get to a point where you want to trade multiple things at the same time, I could never do it. There's no way I could switch between all these different charts and keep track of all my different trades at the same time. So automation becomes an absolute requirement if I'm going to have, a futures trading bot going that's in gold. One's on M&Q, one's on MES, one's on Euro futures, or any of the currency futures, or even you can trade the dollar if you want to in futures. And even on multiple stock tickers, you might have a strategy running for Microsoft and one for Google and one for Tesla. It'd be very difficult to trade all of that at the same time.
There's also like when you're dealing with let's say a financial advisor or some sort of money manager firm, they're probably using an automated system to make the purchases for whatever you're doing. So you're just delegating that to another person, and you might be like, well, I don't want the headache of doing that on my own.
Right.
But let's say there's a mix of assets that you are interested in. Maybe like, okay, I want to have some video game stocks, I want to have some AI stocks, I want to have some whatever. You might be like, well, I'm interested in this, and now I want to go ahead and manage that. But you don't want to sit there every day and pressing the button to make the trade. So as soon as you have a set of rules, that you go, hey, these rules, like Mike was saying, are consistent, then you can go ahead and set it up. And it doesn't actually negate the manual trading, because for the manual trading, there's all kinds of trading that I do that there's too many things I'm considering that I can't actually put it all within one strategy. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to put it all within one strategy, because it could be that, on a day where there's a lot of news and a lot of volatility, I would behave in one way, but on a day where it's not, I'd behave in a different way. Well, I don't necessarily have the time or the skill or whatever to set up and go like, okay, these are going to be my 9 different ways of trading and activate them depending if these 19 signals are saying. Well, then it doesn't really make any sense for me to do that. And something that you can visually see makes more sense to manually trade. In the same way, if I told you, can you catch this ball from the air? You were like, yeah, I can catch this ball. Can you build a robot that catches the ball from the air? See me in 15 years. But then certain things make total sense, like you're saying, that obviously it's a no-brainer to go ahead and do this, even if it's so much as I want to copy the same sort of trade across multiple accounts.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, why would you sit there and do that manually? Just use a system that could do that. And classic example why people want to use TradersPost.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. Peter, I know this is the time of your life. I know this is the time of the week that you love the most, but we have to wait till next time. And next time, get ready. Kraken, crypto, DCA, brave new world.
Let's run it.
I'm ready.
Ciao.
Thanks.
Cheers, everyone.